Happy Friday. Sound check? Home? Home? Anybody? All right. Audio. Sound check. Okay. Maybe, now in the kind. Let's see if we can do something here. It clears up. It's showing fun. Hold on a second. All right. How's that? Give me a sound check one more time. Is anybody home? My goodness. I'm not seeing comments again. All right. I'm just going to go and I'm going to play it by ear. Here's where we are. Let's stretch this out a little bit. Market is right underneath 533.65. This zone between 533.65 and 534.15 is overhead resistance. All right, that's an overhead resistance zone. And then you have the trend line above. And then down here is support. They can get lower. They were lower in the pre-market, but this is a support number. They start trending lower. This is the next number down, but they don't have to get there. All right, so that's the S&P. Another sound check. Let me double check. Oh, wait, my thing scrolled away. All right, so you can hear me now. All right. All right, little trouble this morning, technology trouble. All right, I'm good. All right, so I went over it. You got it. I'm glad. Thank you. I wasn't getting the comments, then it scrolled away and it was stuck. All right, my fault. That one, the last one was my fault. Okay. We have some stocks on the move. DocuSign, just checking on my other screen to see what's close or not. DocuSign's not close. IoT is not close yet. It's a buck away. PAS is right on the number on the bid. And Anglo is right on the number on the ask, on the offer. All right, so we got gold stocks in play today. Those were the two that popped up. I had others, but it wasn't the same number. It wasn't legitimate numbers. I had these two. And see where we go. We got minute to post time here. A little bit of hint of waning velocity. Nice little dip this morning. We'll see if there's any kind of intra-session follow through, or do they just rescue it and we have a floater Friday? We don't know, but we're going to find out. Yeah, John, the resistance zone is 533.65 to 534.15. And if they spike that, then they will make a run for the trend line, but that's the resistance zone this morning. Just so happens the trend line is right above. Funny how we took profit in TLT 2 days ago and yesterday was flat and today it's down. Funny how that works, isn't it? All right. What's support in TLT? Let's see. All right, 532.15. If they spike this low, that opens the door. They could spike this low and rip it back, but this is the number. You have a gap down here. I like them to spike the gap. Get down to 191.25 today. 91.35. Okay. That's a bounce place in TLT. IWM, let's see what's going on over there. Yep, down $2. Transport's down. All right, waning velocity. I was talking about it for, this is the third day. NVIDIA, I did the work. I come prepared on Friday, come prepared every day, but I did the work in NVIDIA this morning. I don't have anything. You have a gap down here. You have the window to the world. This is very high risk. This is not high risk. This is a bounce place. Spider's coming down. GC. I'm trying to multitask here. There's your test of the low so far. This is no good anymore. That was the other bounce place, right? Now you got to go lower. My next number is 23.15.16, right in there. So the opening print, they go right in the resistance zone. I'm assuming traders are short here. Just give me a second. I got to update the notes. Playing with this low over here. If they get below here, it opens the door for 532.15. This is a bounce place. Even if they spike it, the midpoint phenomenon is really the next place, even though the next number's down here for 2 or 3 reasons. Let's see. TLT pivot. I don't really have a TLT pivot. I just have that number I gave you, JR. I'm just backtracking and make sure I'm cleaning up some of these comments and questions. Crude oil, still above 75. 76 is sticking point now. CL, man, we could take this off. Below 75 and they go right back down to 74, in my opinion. If they stay above, they're gonna start working their way up this breakdown candle high. Here comes the spiders. Okay, and those of you short, you're profit city. They spiked the low and are trying to rip it back in the other direction. That is a thing, but I have a number down below. I'm looking for the number. Those of you that may have purchased the spike the low, you take the profit, some of it. They do the same thing all the time, but when I have a number down below, I'm looking for my number. You know that, and they could do both. The Qs, let's take a look. 462, and if they get below, it's 460.80, give or take. Wheat, yeah, wheat was down a little bit today. Let's see. 620 is the next number, then 605. So this was no good. And we'll look for them to recapture this later, which they will. 532.15 is a target and a bounce place. Even if they spike it, this is a zone. Traders short are on a free ride. TLT, Andy, let's go back over there. 91.25 is my number. They may bounce it at the gap, but that's not my number. Let's check out the pre-market low. Whoops, not here. Show it to you. Pre-market low is all the way down here at 531.30, and that there goes your midpoint phenomenon. Okay, that was why. All right, so Joel, the pre-market low is a little different than you had. All right, let them see if they could push it down at 532.15. Mister, there's nothing going on. This is old stuff. There's nothing going on here. Nothing to trade. They'd have to come down below 1600 for me to get interested on the long side today. Okay, let's see. Why would my chart be different than yours? I can't answer that, Joel. IoT. Okay. Got a bunch of numbers down there. I better double check. 30, 75, 29, 28. All right. I'll leave that there, but that was from something else. 29.95 plus shipping and handling. On a day like today, when you're short, do you hold a trailer or switch long? What does that mean, Nick? Depends on the trade. What do you mean, a day like today? I'm not sure. What you do is, now I see what you're saying. So you're saying you are short. You're wondering whether you sell the whole thing and flip it. You know what? If I'm in a trade short, I'm saying 532.15 is my target, and I'm looking for them to get lower to enter. And I can't answer whether the thing will be down another $5 today and should you hold a short. I wish I could answer that. I just can't. I can tell you that I'm expecting them to bounce it in here, so I wouldn't want to be short much below here. That's my best answer there. Oh, look at that. Low against 65, so that's over. T, so far midpoint. Spider's trying to bounce. Doesn't really matter what chart we look at, just looking for a number. Back, I'll tell you right now, above 533.65 is the bull case. They spiked the low, ripped it back, came up short of my number. If they get above 533.65, they should get to 534.15 and maybe the trend line. It's resistance up there, but I'm not sure after this maneuver down on a Friday heading toward the flat line, you want to short it. That's really my opinion. I'm not going to short it. IWM on a rip. Yep. They're down on the day, but they're on a rip. Take it at face value. You're going to find resistance at 203, 203.25 if they can get there. SMCI, it's not doing anything. If they push up, they're going to head towards the gap up here, 779, 778. Max book 4.4K in heating oil from 226. The day's low 225.66. Blah, blah, blah. Funny how that works. You're welcome. Well done. ZW 620. Anybody take that? Thanks, Max. Just curious. I don't really have an answer for that, Joel. What are the chances? I just don't know. What I can tell you is, I was just looking at my other charts with the IWM. What I can tell you, Joel, is that the more time, the question is, what are the chances it comes down to 200 again, that it holds and all that? And here's where it goes. And this is the track Joel was on. It's just how many times are they going to beat on a number before breaking it? And the answer is you don't know how many times, but the more times they do, the less likely it is to hold. It's getting closer and closer to breaking. And it's just if you take a hammer and you hit a wall, the first time you might not go through, but you keep hitting that same spot, you're going to go through finally. It's the same thing. Yeah, gold's getting smoked. 23.16 is where I have it. It may not get there today, but that's my number. 23.15. Jeffrey took ZW. Okay, I knew there was somebody out there. So did Max. Well, let's see if this thing, if it can get moving, where could it go? It's not moving yet. Can't give you a target until it starts to move. For now, 624. If they pop it, they should get to 624 at least. So that's first target. Then you got this short term, you got this today's breakdown candle high and 15-minute chart and a gap. And so those are your near-term targets. After that, we'll take another look at it if we need to, for sure. Copper, I don't know what it is on this chart. Let's see. CO. Totally different symbol on my other chart. I'm not sure this is the right one. I'm not sure this is the right one. I can't make heads or tails out of that. GDX is it today. They got to break this low to get there. 33.60 is it today. Spider's heading to 534.15 and then the trend line. It is an overhead resistance zone up here. Whether or not I'm taking a short is my decision. You're unlikely to blow through here, but again, I got that whole Friday near the flat line, get to the flat line, get above, float them up Friday thing on my mind. And therefore, I look at this today as a piece of variable risk on a short right now that I don't need, and that's why. Can they give you a scalp out of here? Absolutely. Yeah, I've got copper at HG on TradeStation as well, Max. Let's see. Can't answer that, Christopher, because they're not liquid. I can't answer that. Why are the spreads so big on an option chain? Because there's no activity in the market. That's really the reason. So you can't really trade them. When there's no activity, very difficult to trade. You got to pick something else. I did look at that this morning, but there was something I didn't like about it. Yeah, down below this low, it's all the way down to 26 and a quarter. I'm not sure you do that today. All the way down to 26 and a quarter, 26.15. Put it at 20. There's your trend line coming. There you go, Scott. I'm going to read this out loud, Scott H. I got long the MES near pre-market lows based on your numbers. You slowly been turning me into a new trader that is making consistent gains rather than consistent losses. I took the base hit of 5 points and now just managing trailers in the money with no emotion, priceless. Thank you, and you're welcome. Well done. You did it, not me. Well done. Now you do a couple of those and you say, all right, this is the way it's done and this is the way I'm going to do it. And I'm going to wait for what I want and this is the process that I'm going to use. And you just stick to it over and over again because it works. No, Scott. It's about time, not numbers. I talked about that last night. Max took the NQ long, 700 bones. Well done. Grace, there should be a lookup in there. Lookup symbol. It's probably the best thing to do. Anybody know the symbol for wheat on Thinkorswim, Ameritrade for Grace? Wheat futures. Sean says it's ZW like it is here. Okay, a lot of traders say that. Grace, try ZW. And if you don't have a futures account activated, you may not be able to get the symbol if you're not paying for the data. I'm not sure how they work over there, but oh, you have to put in a /ZW. Try that. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I can't even say the names. Everybody's, apparently a lot of folks on Thinkorswim in here. Okay. Now, the thing scrolled away from me with all those answers. If I didn't answer a question you had, please put it back in. So they're finding resistance where they should. They came halfway home between the number and the trend line. Nobody's surprised at that, right? Of course not. It's just not my cup of tea on the short side today. It really isn't. Doesn't mean they won't give you a scalp, which they now have. So traders that shorted that, take a base hit. 533.65 is now support. Didn't say it before as they were coming down, but it should have been obvious. It was on the chart. We'll go back over there, see what's going on. They're trying to hold it. Sometimes it just takes some time. Oh, free data, Morris says on Thinkorswim. Well, that's good. That's very nice of them. That's a pretty good hook. Tesla resistance, 178.30. They get above, they're going to push to the next place. It's not a short. Not for me. There's nothing telling you it's going to come right back down. Maybe it does, but there's nothing. You're just eating time off the clock. They just tested something down here. They didn't get to the next number, but they just ran a test of something. And they popped right back up. So that's a tough short. All right, so 533.65. By the way, we can call this a pivot for now. Because if they get below, they can come back down. But if they stay above, they're just going to float them. So traders that took a short, you booked the base hit, please. It was that number, Grace, and then the next number down, you saw it on the chart. I'll go back over there one more time. ZW. 620 was the number, and then the next one down I have is 605. Okay. What's going on at the Qs? They stayed above 462. Pretty quick test. Yeah. 23, 15, 16, right in there, give or take. What's the low? 64 against 65. That's why it's a pivot. Funny how that works too. Yep, gold, we got that one. Jeffrey. ZW again. I got a lot of ZWs going on here. Oh, there you go. Okay. So they see it, they tried to put a stake in the ground down there so far. Yeah, that's intraday, Max. Not to say it can't morph into something else, but for now it's intraday. See how it goes. You can, we talked about this recently too, which is you take something like gold, right? And you say, all right, look, if I'm going to buy a position, all right, unless I'm buying one exit, all right, I could buy a position down here and say, all right, if they really react off there and they, here come the spiders again. That's why you took the profit. Remember I said, please, I was nice about it. Where was I? If they, let's say they hit this and they shoot up and they go up 20 bucks right away. Well, you know what? Maybe they're going to put in some kind of a low today. And you look at this daily chart and say, hey, look, maybe that was, there's symmetry coming here. It's not yet, but so eventually they're going to put in a low and you say, look at that reaction, look at the daily chart. All of a sudden they put in a tail. You know what? I'm going to hold a piece of this. So you can do that. So you can turn a day trade if you want to hold a piece into a swing trade based on what the chart's doing throughout the day. All of a sudden the story changes, right? Instead of going down, all of a sudden they put in some kind of a bottom, or at least they give the impression they do, sign or signal of a trend change, an important place, all that stuff. And you say, all right, I'll take a shot at holding a piece. Hussein wants to look at Metter, 493.55. Get above that, they start working on this breakdown candle high up at 508, give or take, right? Somewhere up here, 508, 509, in this area, somewhere up there. Trend line, 534.40, give or take. There's a gap up here. Here comes the trend line. No, it's not trick, trap, or fool. We had this thing mapped out, Bob. I said, you know, they can react there for a scalp, but please take the profit. And this is the Friday effect, the reason I didn't want to short it. They gave you the trade. I just wasn't interested. It was exactly what I thought would happen. No different. If you think about what happened, you think about what I said, it's exactly what I said, and it exactly happened for the most part. Oh, GC? Oh, I don't know about that. I don't see any trickery going on here. No trickery for me. Baidu. Nothing doing. Trying to fill the gap, maybe. That's it. Nothing doing. There's no buy in here until you get down to 96, 95.50. Call it 95, even 75. Right there, somewhere right there. The pump candle was bigger than the dump candle was bigger than a dump. Yeah. I said back above 533.65 is bullish anyway. That's the pivot now. That was funny, Mark. IoT, they hit the second price. See that? They went back to the first. They couldn't do it. Right to the second. Station to station. Get them on, get them over, get them in. Major support on daily long-term double bottom. What are you talking about, JR? Which one? Baidu? Baidu, let's take a look. Be right back. Just give me 1 second. To Baidu in a second. So check this out. So the high was 534.35. I'm saying 534.50 40, was it 35? Where's the trend line? Is it 38, 36? I don't know. It's in there, right? 37. I can make a case. They missed it by a penny if you look at this chart. Look at that, right? Where is that trend line? It's pretty damn close. Above the trend line, she's really bullish, and that's all you need to know. Above the trend line, she pushes toward the highs over here, 535, 40, give or take. All right, let me go back to Baidu. I see what you're saying. It's worth a shot, right? So from a trading perspective, you say, all right, look, they're holding the double bottom, and we know that if they get below this low, she's no good. So can you trade it against the low of 94.70, or really even, you could even raise that to the low of this breakup candle at 95.41, $1.50, worth the risk, worth the risk. Weekly chart, breakup candle low, you can use that as well. You can use any of these, nothing is wrong. These are all options, but you'd have to use a weekly close on 94.55, okay? They already tested it. They don't need to do it again. It's worth a shot. Can't say it'll work, but it's worth a shot. It's a reasonable risk reward setup, and that's my answer, JR. Nobody wants it down here if the pump is bigger than the dump. It's called the reversal candle, that Shalom, and that was from Mark from before. The pump, the chart was that on the 5-minute? The pump candle was bigger than the dump, and basically the bottom line is this was a reversal candle, a 5-minute chart reversal. They closed above the high, I think. Close 74, high 70. So they closed above, here comes the trend line. So they closed above the high of the reversal candle. They reversed the reversal, as I like to say. The pump was bigger than the dump. That's really good. I love that. I'll write that down. Sorry, Mark, I have to have that. JR, you square on Baidu? Can I take this off? We don't need this anyway. You're welcome. See what's going on over in Camp IWM. Nice reversal on the hourly, spiked the low. Look at that. Them all. Got into halfway into no man's land where there's a gap down here. See what I'm looking at? And ripped it back. Tell me there weren't pies in the face there. And your trend line was resistance. Again, they know about the trend line. Anybody dispute that? If you dispute that, put it in the box. I want to have that discussion. Mark B, you're 100% right. Not if I give him accolades, Gary, which I would. I wouldn't steal it. I would say where it came from. And that's for the pump bigger than the dump comment. Looked at it this morning, Phil. Let's look at it again. In the gold complex, I looked at, there it was, 60. So I had it on yesterday too, 1650. But that's just a scalp. They got to hold these lows. So the trend line was resistance again, but if they hang around and just eat time off the clock, what's going to happen? They haven't really been rejected yet. Just pulled back. Joel says, I closed my IWM short position pre-market this morning thanks to you. The past me would have added to my short position, huh? Oh, I'm glad it's the current you. Well done. IoT. Gotta give it a little more time. In another 20, 30 minutes, it becomes dead money if it's got divergence from the market most of the time. CW, there's your rip. Nice trade, folks. Nice trade, folks. Now you can hold this. ZWs, you want to take profit today and you want to try and hold it, that's fine. What if they put in a tail today? What if they did? We don't know. That could have been a low. Down a lot of days. Eventually, you're going to get a bounce. It's either going to be here or here, in my opinion. GLD. Let's look at that one. Oh, they filled that gap down here? No, they missed it. Oh, there was another one. Ah, I see. There was here, and then there was here. So they filled this one. There's too many gaps. Book $400 on wheat, Max. Well done. That trend line again. My goodness. I didn't see anybody put a comment in disputing that the market knows about the trend line. I don't think anybody want to have that debate. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? I got made fun of for that trend line. It's been happening on my whole career. AMT, the gap down here. This area, 191, 190, spike of 191. Can bounce it there. Let me see what else I have. Hold on. I got one more. There goes the spiders. There's your zone today. AMT should bounce it right there. If they get there, they had to get below the gap. This is the below the gap, get to a place and rip it back trade. We had a really nice trade in AMT recently, swing trades. CL, still a buy for a scalp? No, that was, the buy was down here. This is on a tear. You can't buy it after this. Where are they headed? They're headed up in this neighborhood. 77 bucks, 77.50. Yeah, excuse me, too many of them are, Mark, you're right. It's really a cesspool in there. There go the spiders. Let's take a look at GC, where it could be headed. 23.37, 38 will be some resistance. They get above, they're free to go up another $6, $7. 23, 45, 46. Those are your two numbers right now. 23.37, 23.45. Above the trend line, she's bullish. This one. Right back. See what's going on. You're into a Friday floater. They're around the flat line. SPX is flat on the day, literally flat. Okay. Russell's down 11 points. Dow's up 76 points. NASDAQ Composite's down 34. It's a very quiet day. And all of a sudden, you see what's going on. The morning rush is over for now. And they're just floating them up. This is the definition of a Friday floater, at least the beginning of one. And it doesn't mean they float up all day. What it means is they float around. There's not really a trader's tape. They move down 20, 25 cents, 15 cents, they move up 20, 30, 40 cents, chop around, move up a little bit, move up another 50 cents, move down 30. That's not a trader's tape. I just answered that, Max. I didn't see if you put in that comment before or after. Tell me if you're okay on crude, or else I'll go back over there. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I answered it in gold. Hold on. I think I did answer it in crude too before, but yeah, I did. They're headed to 77 bucks, give or take. That's where they're headed. Let me go back over there. IoT, not OIT. There you go. There you go. Okay. That takes care of that. There's your low. Good job, Gary. Tesla, there is nothing, not till down here. This is big time breakup candle. They can chop around in here, but ultimately, if they eat time, that's what's going on. It's okay, Max. Does the CL daily chart have a possible head and shoulders? Let's take a look. Yeah, it had one, played out. Maybe another one? Not really. This one played out already. This was one up here. You're looking at this one, maybe you'd have to do this. You'd have to do that. And if you did that, it failed and it went down anyway. Nah, don't worry about that. But that could be, that's the same resistance on the way back up. Funny how that neckline from what would have been a head and shoulders is the same area that has overhead resistance on the way back up. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Okay, Christopher. Nice. I like that. Splendid Greek island. 100K in profits this week, Christopher. Wow. Well done. That's fantastic. That's unbelievable. Great weekend. See you next week. You don't know that you're going to nail a low like that in crude oil or anything for that matter. But then you look back and you say, wow, did we have the number? IoT 3150 to 3160 is the target. 3155 even, if they can stay above 3075. Let's see, what else did I say when I was on mute? I was talking about, Zach asked about queuing up orders. Yeah, I try to use limit orders as best I can, or as much as I can. So if I'm waiting for a number, put a limit order in to hit the number. Or if the market's moving and I haven't pre-set an order, yeah, I trade the ES against the spider. So whenever a spider hits a number, I'm going to buy the ES. So I'm either putting in a predetermined number on the ES that corresponds to the spiders, or I'm just hitting the button when they get to the number. Both. but I prefer to put a limit order in ahead of time, just let it happen. No, I don't put a stop in right away. I don't put a stop in the system at all. I manage it in real time, sitting here anyway. You put a stop in the system, they come and get you. And our stops aren't based on 2 points away or anything like that. They're based on numbers. If we have a zone and they get below the zone, they start closing candles below the zone, the trade's wrong. Most of them are right, so we can withstand that sometimes. You're welcome. Give me a second, or give me a minute and a half. I'll be right back. Let me see. I've got some comments that rolled in, questions, complaints. Let me read them up, see what I come up with. Any shorting levels for the Qs today? Why would you want to short the Qs, Fernando? Let me ask you that first. What would make you want to short the Qs? What makes you want to short this tape on a Friday? Friday floater. Is there a lack of volume, a lack of participation? Yes. Is the volume and the participation likely going to wane further throughout the day? Yes. Are the Qs basically at new highs? Well, let's look at this chart. Yes. So what do you really expect to have happen here? And I'm leading you to the answer. I'm not really asking you to answer stuff. It's implied. I'm just trying to get you to think about this the right way. Do I really want to short today? Is that really what I'm looking for? I'm giving you my thought process, Fernando. And I'm doing this to help you, I promise. Yeah, I don't believe that, Tom, though. I know the brokers have that. I don't believe it. I don't buy the story. It may be true. But I don't want to put a stop necessarily at a number as much as I want to put it based on a number and time, because they get below a number and 2 minutes later they pop right back up. So it's about time for me. And that's just the way I do it. Exactly, Scott. Yep, big data next week. We got CPI, PPI data shuffle. We got the FOMC data shuffle. We got all kinds of stuff going next week. Good. Let them implement some volatility over here. VIX is flat. S&P's up 4 or 5 points. There's nothing going on. It's one of those days. It's not a trader's tape. You can't impose your will on the market. I want to trade. You may not get one. I want to trade too. But that doesn't mean I get what I want. Would I take a long on the spider if she came back to the pivot? Not now. Because if she fails after doing this, it's probably not going to be support. That's my opinion, for very long. In other words, let's say she tests the high. She's close now, not too far away. She tests the high and then comes all the way back down to 533.65 quickly. I'm not going to buy that. That's a failure. That's adding variable risk. Would I buy 532.15 if they spike the low? Absolutely. Got to pick your spots. And that's how I do it. Every trade has its own nuance. And that's the art form in this business. Now, they may bounce it at 533.65 in that last scenario that I just laid out. But am I willing to step in with my capital at that price after a failure of the former high, after they popped above the trend line? Now they're going to give it up? I don't know about that. I'm not so sure. If they came down like 10 minutes ago before they did this, then I might have given you a different answer. But now they're running a test of the high. Now, my expectation is that they'll probably not bust right through right now, but they will get to 536.40 to 537 today. I do expect that to happen at this point. I don't know that it will, but I'm expecting, I'm not going to be surprised if it does, put it that way. Yeah, this is like the last stand here is 462 in the Qs, and they're putting in a sideways eating time off the clock, bullish, flaggish situation on the hourly chart. So there's no short there. And even if they push higher, you're at new highs. Where am I going to short it up there? Not today. No way. No way. Right back. 536.40 to 537. That is a short right now. They got up there soon. That is. If they get up to 536.40 to 537 on this run without pulling back first, I am going to step in there for a scalp with potential. So all that talk about why would you want to short the tape, if they get to a certain number, that's different. And this, I have a number in the spiders. There you go, Scott. Well done. Scott's riding up a trailer. You just got to exit up there before there, the routine. Sometimes they come up short, other times they spike them through, but they're headed somewhere right now, obviously. You got it, Jack. Stones. Can't believe they're still on tour. It's amazing. think Mick Jagger's 107. Okay, Shalom, and 244 NVIDIA puts. Tough racket, NVIDIA puts, but well done. Wow, Shannon, 5K off 532.15 pre-market. You were quiet up till now. Well done, Shannon. Have a nice weekend, for sure. I did see them live, Mark, 1990, I'm going to say 4 or 5. It's called the Bridges to Babylon tour. I was right next to the stage. Literally saw his face like up close and personal. That was pretty fun. It was really good. Ken P, 500 bucks on the ES. Well done. Listen, the longer they stay above the trend line, the more bullish it becomes. Just you take that, do what you want with it. Scott J, 1600 on the spider. Donnell, 500 bucks and a trailer on the spider long. So we had a lot of long players in there. Well done. TLT didn't get down low enough. They got the 91.40 against 91.25, and they bounced. So that's over. Now, what you don't want them to do from a short perspective is you don't want them to eat time off the clock and take another half an hour to get up there. They got to get up there sooner than later. Yeah, make sure you don't hold, make sure you take most of it off before the weekend, Donnell. Well done. This coming Monday or the following Monday? That makes a difference. That's great, Bob. That's a long time ago. Yeah, Chad, I saw that yesterday. We got a bird flu situation. We got a death from the bird flu. Didn't the COVID start the same way with one up in New York? I don't know that this will do the same, but I don't think it will, but I'm just saying. It's interesting. Here comes 536.40. You want to wait for a little higher and see if they can peter out near 537, 536.6. It's up to you. If you're willing to short 536.40, you got to be willing to take the ride up to 537, maybe even a spike of 537. That's part of the process. 536.40. Okay. Remember, it's a scalp with potential. I'm not looking for a collapse here, although I don't really care if I do care if they do. I'm just saying it's a trade. There's my first profit. I took my scalp, and now it's a risk-free, emotionless trade. You all heard it. 536.40 on the button. Now, that was one where I didn't preload the order. As soon as they were touching, so I was watching the spiders. As soon as they were touching 536.40, as soon as they touched it, I hit the market order button on the ES. That's the way I did that one, just so you know. So that's one way I do it. Again, I'm not going to split hairs over a tick or two on either side. I don't care. Not looking for a point. I'm looking for a minimum of 5 to 7. So the tick or two, sometimes it goes in my favor and sometimes it doesn't when you get a little slippage with a market order, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to split hairs over pennies, and I'm not going to split hairs over a tick or two. I think that's penny wise and pound foolish. Scott closed the long at 600 bucks. What did I tell you? You got to close it in front of that number. So I'm just unbelievable. I don't even know what to say sometimes. Yeah, you're welcome, Fernando, and I'm glad you said that. I know what the tendencies are. I've experienced them all, just like you. I had all the bad habits, all of them. Everybody does. You have to shed them one at a time. Yeah, you took the short. You should have. Well done, Fernando. Yeah, that was different. That was there. Look at the Qs and look at the spiders. We look at a 5-minute chart, it probably looks the same. Where was the number up here? I didn't have it. That's the problem. I didn't have a number in the Qs. I had a number in the spiders. So were the Qs going to pull back? Yeah, good bet, but I'm not going to do that because it's not you're a derivative away from the thing. Why not just trade the thing? And Mark, there's to my point before, you missed it by a tick. And that's to my point. There's certain ones that I'm not willing to miss. I don't care if they went up to 537, 536.65. I would have shorted it again if they spiked 537. I guarantee you that. That's the only way to do it, Mark B. Sorry, Scott H. Selling or buying into strength. That's the only way. I talk about it all the time. You start to do that and your results change. They change dramatically. You end up not chasing stuff, either watching profits get sucked down because you're chasing it because they just missed a number by 3 pennies. And now you're saying, oh no, and all of a sudden, here goes 30% of your profits in a minute. If you're trading options or something like that, or even futures. So that's why you exit into strength on both ends. AU, 29.93. Yeah, there's no reason the number's still not any good. It should be good. Again, it's just like anything else. Nothing works 100% of the time, but this should work. And you have this safety net here of this low. And if they get below that low, you know what happens. It opens the door down here another 50 cents, 40 cents. They don't have to get there, but then there's the midpoint phenomenon all of a sudden at 22.70. Just does that's the progression of events. That's different, Bob. If your broker, if you feel your broker doesn't give you fair fills, executions are poor, that's a different story. I don't have that problem. I feel like and have felt for years, which is the main reason why I still trade only on TradeStation. I like these charts, but I won't trade here. I will trade in TradeStation, even though I could trade through TradeStation on here, but that's once removed. So I got to go through TradingView platform to get to TradeStation. I don't want that extra hop. I want the execution when I want the execution, and I get good execution on TradeStation. This is turning into a nice little trade. Look at this. There you go. How you doing? I got 2 more exits. Mitch, if we get to 537, at this point, I'm not sure if you put that in 5 minutes ago, I might have said yes, but now I'm not so sure. I'm probably not going to short the market for the rest of the day. I'll just stick with this one until it takes, that's the second exit. I got 1 more, and I'll hold this one for a while. See if they can get me down near the trend line. I'll probably take it off at 534.60 or something like that, 55.60. Paul, 800 bucks on puts from 536.40. You're welcome. Done shopping in the store. I love it. Hey, you hit the second level. All right, so now they got to work on this pivot and see if they can hold that. I'll be right back. I'm just going to update the notes real quick. I'm back. So 534.60, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, if you can get them down here, all right, we'll call it 65, down to the trend line, that's where you take it off. Another one at least. That's where I will be giving, I'll be taking my final, I have 1 more exit, so I'll just take my final exit right there, if I can get it. Isn't it unbelievable, Ron? That was so textbook, it wasn't even funny. You're right, Ron W. They ran up there so fast. That's the one we want. We don't want the one eating time off the clock. We want the one that got there in 15 minutes from all the way down here. That's the one you want. When they get to a number quickly, it gives you, not that you have it yet, but you will. It gives me more confidence that A, because I know they're always headed to a destination. If I think I have the destination and they're headed somewhere fast, then the odds favor that I have the destination. And here we go. Whopper Jr. in the making, Mark B. It sure is. DXY. Here comes AU trying to bounce. They spiked that low. No shocker. DXY. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. It was a little early. I put an order in a little ahead of what I said, but not intentionally. I just popped it in there. It's done. So you all got a Whopper out of it. Whopper Jr. Fantastic. You make the choice from here. You want to hold it? That's up to you. You want to hold for a failure? You never know. Could absolutely get it. Could absolutely get it. Look at that. Is that a tail? Is that it for today? Maybe. We'll see. They got to get below the trend line to make that happen, though. If they don't get below the trend line, this is bullshit. That's the way you read that. The trend line is everything. DXY. Look at this. Look at that. Remember? I said, if they don't hold these lows, they're going to come all the way down. They just held these lows and it'll rip it back. Resistance is up here now because the market ran up to here and was rejected twice. Are they going to reject it the 3rd time? While it's overhead resistance, I wouldn't expect them to reject it a 3rd time right back up there. I would say they're headed somewhere else. I'm not sure exactly where just yet, but I wouldn't expect them to fail up there. Nice way to end the week. Mark B. Yep, sure is. Absolutely. Scott H. done for the day, $600 profit. Absolutely. 6K in the last 9 days. Wow, that's fantastic, Scott H. Excellent. Well done. That's just everyday green. That's what you said. No, I'm not saying that. You said that's just fantastic. Yeah, I love that. I do that in my day trading account every single day. I go 100% cash before the end of the day, always. I've been doing that for years. and it just helps me sleep at night. The swing trades, if you get a gap down and you're long something or vice versa, you just live with that. That's swing trading. But the day trades, 100% cash every night. Billy B just landed from my flight, ran to find some good Wi-Fi just in time for the short. How's that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm glad you got it. Listen, can you tell them all smiles? I obviously want the weekend to end. This is a fantastic last trade of the day. There's not going to be another trade. You want to buy the trend line or something like that, that's totally your choice. That's it. This was the show for the day. $1,000 with trailers for Scott S. 6K over the last few days, 4 days for Scott S. Well, that's wonderful. That's just makes my heart warm. It really does. I'm not just saying that because it's working. You got to have 25 minutes for this candle. So a lot can happen in 25 minutes, but my goodness, you can hold a trailer. There is no reason they cannot fail. I don't know whether they will, but if you're in the driver's seat and you're short from 536.40, you don't have to let them get anywhere near there. They start getting back near 530, 550, 535, 60, and you decide you don't want it anymore, that's fine. But you choose. We just don't know. I wish I could tell you what's going to happen next. I can't. Anybody that tells you what's going to happen next really doesn't know. They're just bullshitting you. But you all know that. But let's check it out, Donnell. And you can always put something in, but put the symbol in. That's Zeneca. What's AutoZone? What's the symbol? AZO. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot. I know most of them. Sometimes I forget. So I see what you're looking at on the daily chart. You're talking about from a few days ago, right? And I agree. And this is the same. Let me just look over here. Yeah. This is the same we looked at before in Baidu. So you can take this weekly chart breakup candle low, 2708.09. And you could say, all right, I'm going to trade it long against that. They start getting below there, trading below there, and it's not the setup for the reason you took the trade, so you have to leave the trade. But you could trade it against there, and then you could pick out even higher prices if you want to minimize your risk. You could say, all right, I'll trade against this daily close, 27.94.34. Oh no, that's the high. The low is 28.97, 27.28.97. You could do that. And that would be the other thing I would do. Other than that's it. But yeah, I see what you're looking at. I mean, it looks like a bearish pattern, but then when you look at the weekly chart, you say maybe all they were doing was coming down to run a test at a weekly chart breakup candle low, and it took them a while to find support. It took them a couple of weeks. So what? See the difference in the charts. That's why you have to look at the other charts. This is the one I was talking about. Do you want 533.65 now? Well, they may bounce it there, but I don't want it. I'm content with what we got, with what I got. And I'm going to leave it at that because I'm not going to get caught in a trade on a Friday after having profits and have to sit here all day hoping it comes back. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to, I don't want to take a loss. I'm not going to give up these profits. That's the bottom line. It was a nice trade. 2K with trailers now in the spider position, 550 with the MES and a trailer for Scott. Well done. Yeah, if this is helping you refine to get better, Scott, that's the point, and then it's working. It could be, Predyat. I still have waning velocity on the brain. This morning, they hit the market after the phony data, and then they snapped this. So I was thinking, okay, there's your waning velocity. It's starting to materialize. And then they go right back up and hit a number and go right back to the trend line. I have to think that it's still on the table, but if they stay above the trend line, there's nothing wrong with the market. So that's the other side, regardless of what I think and regardless of the waning velocity and the formula and all that stuff. Not everything works 100% of the time, and all we have to do is have another thing, like another, in this case, it's a trend line, it's a guideline. And I know if they're above that trend line, I don't care what the waning velocity is, they're not going down. If they're below the trend line and they close today below the trend line, I wouldn't be surprised to wake up to a gap down Monday, or have maybe it's quiet up until the Fed next week or the CPI, PPI and all that stuff. But if they close below the trend line, I'm still interested in the waning velocity. That's the way I'm looking at it. Let's see, Alex F is asking, when levels are close to each other, let's say $1 apart, yep, and price is dropping hard, what candle close do you use? I use time. And when I say candle closes, it works like this. 5 minutes, you start to think, okay, they're staying below for 5 minutes. That's something. 10 minutes, say, all right, they closed a 10-minute candle below. That's better than a 5, and that's more important. And then if they close a 10 and a 15, I'm pretty convinced that they're starting to not honor that particular support price, if you will. Now, if you're talking about a flush at the open, that's different. And that's where stocks on the move come in, and there's 3 levels generally most of the time, and they're headed to one of them. And the amount of times that all 3 levels fail is few and far between. It does happen, but it's few and far between. And if you stick around here, you'll see it's few and far between. In fact, they're all on the videos at night. And so the amount of times that 3 levels that I have fail in one shot is few and far between, but it does happen. So your answer is there's a finesse to the answer. There's no easy answer. If you're getting a flush, then sometimes you just, and the answer is if you're getting a flush, then you have to default. And this is just not for Alex, but everybody. If you're getting a flush on anything that you're in, and it's just cutting through stuff like a hot knife through butter, you must have a predetermined uncle point on a trade saying, look, regardless of the numbers, and you always have to reverse engineer. Look at the spiders trying to get back to the trend line already. You always have to reverse engineer the risk. So if I have 3 prices on the spiders and I say, all right, I'm going to buy it 3 times. Now I have to know that if I buy it 3 times and I'm down at that 3rd level, I'm going to be down X amount at that point in time. And that has to be within my uncle point for the day for a trade. And everybody has a different uncle point. And that's that you have to figure that out ahead of time. Each individual person has to reverse engineer the risk of a trade. That's part of that answer, Alex, and everybody. Yeah, it would be very sour, Mark B, and that's why I'm not doing it. I am not giving up the profits. I'll tell you right now, regardless of what the market does, I'm not taking another trade today. Doesn't mean there isn't one. I'm not taking another one. I'm just being honest about it. I've learned over time that the more times you take a bite at the apple, eventually you're going to hit a razor. The more time you sit at a blackjack table, eventually you're going to give it back. The more trades you take in a day, the more prone you're closer you are to giving it back. And I'm not going to do it. I had a nice profit today. It was certainly more than I anticipated with the day started on a Friday, figuring it was going to be somewhat of a dud. And therefore, I'm certainly not going to give it up. Go in the week with a smile on my face into the weekend, and I leave it at that. I don't have to have another trade. That's the mentality that you graduate to. Dirk, $400, well done. Is 532.15 still a buy? Yeah, if they're down there at some point and they spike the low, I have to think that price down there would bounce the tape. I can't unthink that. It doesn't guarantee it, but certainly, yeah, that would normally bounce the tape. Yeah, I would say yes, because now it's unfinished business. They could have went and got it before and they didn't. So if they come back down, they spike the low, that's the number. Yes, Scott S. And anybody else wondering. So Diego, profits today, 5,100 for the week, 17,835. Donata, that's just fantastic. Well done. Feel good about it. Go into the weekend with a huge smile on your face. Price for the bears today is all the way down at 530.75 to 530. No idea whether they'll do that. They could go right back up from here. If they hold the trend line, there's nothing lower they're going to do. But if there's a prize, that's it. The prize for the bulls, if they're going to go back up, if there's a higher high, it's 537. Let's call it 537.50 now. Just raise it up a little bit, a spike of 537. I don't see them getting much above that, but they can. I just don't see it. You're welcome, Alex. Well done. That's why it's a morning business, Frank T. I think you picked up on that now. That's why you said that. It's a morning business. I learned that years and years ago when I did my own math. And if you're a trader and you've been doing this a long time and you break the day into 2 parts, and you say, all right, I'm going to take my trades that happen from the open to, let's just say 11 o'clock, and then all the rest of the trades that I initiated after that point in time. It's night and day, the results. Wasn't even close. I wasn't even batting 50% in the afternoon. This is a long time ago. Now I probably would be, but I still would not be batting what I bat in the morning. And therefore I leave it alone. One of the reasons why it has to do with psychology. When you're sitting here, now let's say, I don't know if you can hear me now. It looks like I might just lost something. Okay. Let's say, how do I put this? Just give me a second. Let me develop a thought. So let's say that we show up at 2:30 in the afternoon and they're at 532.60 and you saw they came down in the last 4 or 5, 10 or 15 minute candles and they're headed to a number and you say, I'm gonna take a crack at 532.15. That's one thing, okay? That's not what I'm about to discuss. The psychology about what happens in the afternoon actually works a little different. And it works like this. I'm sitting here all day and I'm waiting for a trade. Now, the longer I sit here, the more impatient I get whether I realize it or not. So I begin to formulate a trade. I start to look around at different charts and I try to justify trades that really aren't there because I'm getting impatient and I want to get paid for my time sitting here. I want to make money. So therefore I want to be in a trade. Therefore I need to be in a trade to make money. Therefore, where can I get a trade? Those are different thought processes than sitting down and saying, oh, look, they're close to 532.15. Let me check out what happened over the last half an hour. Okay, it's just dripping down, or it's come down over the last 15, 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to take this trade. That's not the same as now I'm looking at Salesforce.com, CRM. I made it up just now, just picked it out of a hat. And all of a sudden I see them rising at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to a breakdown candle high, and I'm going to take a short there. You're going to short it on Friday leading into the close when everything's floating up in a Friday floater. It's probably not going to work. And then you're going to say, that didn't work. Yeah, because there was a variable risk component that you needed to be in the trade. You justified it yourself. You probably didn't look at the bigger time frame that probably it was headed somewhere else. You're in a Friday floater and you're running out of time on the clock. And guess what? It's a recipe to lose. And therein lies part of the psychology with the afternoon trade. And that's what I came up with. Excellent, Michael W. Well done. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you. Michael W. works hard at this. Yeah, Mark B. It's basically everything I just said. No change to the spiders. We know the routine, okay? The trend line is everything. And then if below the trend line, 533.65 is the pivot still. And if below that, you're going to have a problem today. Now, they could still bounce it at 532.15, notwithstanding and all that. But if now we've got 10 minutes left to this candle. Now, if they stay in here, is this a reversal candle or is this still eating time off the clock? And I'm going to have to tell you it's still eating time off the clock, even though you have a reversal candle. Until or unless they start getting below the pivot and stay there, then it can morph. That's when they'll break the chain, in my opinion, of this bullish eating time off the clock situation. Okay, so I'm giving you a lot of stuff. Brian T, 5,700 on the week. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done. Scott, you'll never do that again. You'll never do that again. You would have chased it up there. Scott says he would have chased the market up there, heading up and learned from here. You're welcome, Victor. Just one day, right? This is ongoing. I don't know how long you've been here, but you're welcome. And this is what I try and do. Teaching and making money, and there's no order to that. It's both. And you're going to learn. Yeah, Scott H says, I don't chase anything because of you. Once you stop doing that, your results change. Sometimes I sound like a broken record, and I'll say, no, you can't buy that, you can't buy that, you can't buy that. And I say, you can't buy anything according to him, because when traders put in symbols that are on the rise, as soon as I see that, I could tell you where resistance is, I could tell you where I think they're headed, but I'm never going to buy it. I'm not going to ever chase anything. Buy a pullback, buy a higher low situation, sure. That's how you trade an uptrend. You buy higher lows. You have to know where they're going to put in the higher lows. Most of the time we do. we have a pretty good idea. Is the GC1 trade still on, Brian T? Let's take a look at GC. It's not GC1, it's just GC. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing. No, this takes the luster off of it. Just reading some other comments, questions, complaints in here. There's nothing going on. This is holding the trend line, but that's it. The easy money was made. I'm telling you. Oh, absolutely, Mark B. I know that. You know that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I am aware of that. But it's not for everybody. There's still people that stick around for a month or two and then they cancel, and that's fine because it's not for them. It's just they can't get it, or they don't want to get it. They don't have the patience. They don't understand it. They're not really listening in full. They're not ready to learn. That's my conclusion. They're not ready to, you have to be committed to learn. You have to sit here, not that you have to sit here 5 days a week if you can't, but you have to sit here consistently and you have to pay attention. You have to take notes. You have to let it sink in. When you hear the same stuff over and over again, it's 3 guys tell you're drunk, go sit down. The same stuff happens over and over again, and you will learn to recognize the large majority of that same stuff that happens over and over again. This stuff becomes like happenstance. How many times you see me look at a chart and I could tell you a number without even doing any work? Because it's always the same. Now I'm looking at it differently than a lot of you because I've been doing this so long. I can look at 8 charts at the same time. I take my eye off this screen that I'm looking at now, where the comments are on this webinar, and I go over to my big screens and I look at one of the particular screens has 8 charts on it, different time frames, and I can see it immediately. I don't have to run fibs. I could see it. I know it's a 618. I know it's a 50%. I'm going to be within pennies of that. I've been doing it so long, I could just see it in black and white, red, green, and white, whatever. And sometimes you realize, how does he put a number up on a chart so fast? Because when I look at my other charts, I have numbers on the charts. So I've already done the work, and I just pop the number on your chart here. I can't do the work in both places constantly. It's a pain in the ass. So I have the numbers, most of them. That's most, Scott H. If you're here 4, 5, 6 months, then you're probably here for a while, unless something in your life changes, right? Like I get all the time, not all the time, I get from time to time, listen, I wish I didn't have to, but I got a new job, or I got to go back to work, I got to go, back to the office, all that kind of stuff. And that's just life. I get that. But if you're here for 4, 5, 6 months and you're learning and you see the results, you have to see the results. If you don't see the results, I hate to say it this way. If you don't see the results, it's really on you, because I'm giving you the whole thing. You can do this if you just focus and pay attention and follow along and forget everything else. And then you can add back in things that make you comfortable, augmenting my strategies and tactics and all that stuff. But if you just put blinders on, I haven't said this in a while, but I used to say it all the time, just put blinders on, forget everything else, and just listen to me, write down stuff, and just do what I say. Your results will change. Last call for alcohol. We're going to end the week on a fantastic note. Okay? All comments, questions, complaints. Put complaints in first, please. Hey, you, 2249, if they can hold that pivot, remember? So now they're not holding the pivot. They closed below. So now this is the next number. Nope, would not, Alex. Let's take a look at crude. Not today. Not today. What if they get below this low? Here, then they can come all the way back down at 74, 74.50. And I don't know that they will, but I wouldn't never buy this on a Friday, assuming they're going to hold this. No thanks. Yep, Scott H, see you in a clean uniform Monday with 100% cash in the account. You betcha. No audio. I think that was fixed. I had it on mute before, but I fixed it. 2 scalps long, 600 profit today for UNG. Well done, Isabel. Scott H starting the weekend. Me too. No, it's no good, Max. Forget it. It's not the same. It's the same number, but the trade from an intraday perspective isn't the same anymore. Look where they bounced it. They bounced it from a low of 23.22 up to 23, almost 23.40. let's call it 17 or 18 bucks. That takes the luster off that. That's the trade you're looking for. You too, Mark, you're welcome. Yes, Zach, everything in here is a day trade unless I tell you otherwise. Once in a while, I'll give traders in here a swing trade opportunity like wheat or crude oil the other day or something else or whatever. They're sporadic, but most of the time, anything we discuss in here is meant to be closed out that day. You're welcome, Oleg. Is GDX support still 3360? GDX. Yeah. VST for Oleg. Okay. I don't even think this is still good. They really took the luster off this too. Look at that bounce from 83 up to almost 90. I wouldn't touch that. Just give me a second. That's variable risk, right? The first time, that was the number. And look at the bounce they gave you. That was the bounce you're looking for. Now, they've taken the luster off of it. You have the same confidence in 82.20. Now, after seeing this, I don't. I'll get another number. It's nowhere today. It would have to be below 77. I don't have it today. Okay, Mark T. Good weekend. See you next week. You're welcome, Oleg. Good for you, by the way. I saw that. I haven't looked at that in a while. Okay. It held. They gave you a nice pop, 10 bucks. All right, folks. Let's wrap it for the week. Don't do anything this afternoon, let alone stupid stuff. Just don't do stupid stuff. We will see you on Monday in uniform, ready to go. I will be out next Thursday. Now that's set in stone. Okay. So I almost did it today, and I decided late yesterday not to do it this morning. There is a day when I have something to do. So I'm glad I didn't do it today because we would have never had that trade. 536.40 and whatever else we got. So there you go. Next Thursday will be, if Jordan is available, he'll take the room. If he's not, it will just be closed. I'll ask him next week. And enjoy the weekend, folks. Appreciate everybody being here. This is pretty much what you signed up for. You learn, you make money. You're not going to make money every single day. We're going to lose on some trades, but over time, your account grows from lower left to upper right, and that's the point. That's the goal. Okay? Everybody have a great weekend. Appreciate you all, and appreciate you being here. Take care, folks.